You know, on the surface, this is a story about a regional conflict, but if you look a little closer, you'll see how a single piece of falling debris connects a single attack to, well, the coffee you drink, the car you drive, pretty much the entire global economy that depends completely on the sea.
It all kicks off with a news report from April 4th, 2026. A drone attack hits a Russian port city. And of course, there's an immediate, tragic human cost on the ground. But the really big story for global trade? That wasn't happening in the city's streets at all.
Nope, it was happening a few kilometers offshore, out in the Sea of Azov. A cargo ship flying a foreign flag, the kind of ship that hauls things like grain or coal, was suddenly and totally unexpectedly engulfed in flames. It was never the target, but boy, it got hit.
And that brings us to the real heart of the matter here. How does a regular old ship, just trying to do its job, get caught smack in the middle of a war? And maybe more importantly, what does this one incident tell us about all the hidden weak spots in the system that brings us pretty much everything we own? Okay, so to figure out how this happened, we gotta look at the attack itself. And that brings us to our first section, a ship caught in crossfire. Right away, you can see we have a tale of two totally different attacks. On one side, Russian officials are reporting that commercial infrastructure, warehouses, got hit. But on the other, Ukrainian sources claimed they had successful strikes on key defense companies. It's the same event, but two completely different stories.
Now, this ship wasn't just sailing in any old part of the ocean. It was operating in a place with a very specific and very dangerous label. That's our second section, navigating warlike waters. The official term is a warlike operations area. And yeah, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a formal classification for parts of the sea where the risk of conflict is so high that the normal rules of shipping, they just don't apply anymore. This changes the game completely for both the crew and the companies they work for. For the actual sailors, the stakes are spelled out right in their contracts. Sailing into a zone like the Sea of Azov, that means bonus pay that literally doubles their salary. It means if the worst happens, compensation for death or disability is also doubled. And, this is crucial, it gives them the right to say no thank you and refuse the voyage, and the company has to send them home on its own dime.
And the Sea of Azov is definitely not alone. Just look at this table. It's basically a global map of maritime danger zones where insurance companies charge extra. We're talking the Persian Gulf, the coast of Somalia, the Gulf of Guinea. These are the high-risk highways that ships have to travel to keep our global economy humming. So what happens when things go wrong in these areas? Well, the financial fallout is just immense. And that brings us right to our third section, the high cost of conflict and the wild world of high-stakes maritime insurance. You see, companies like the London P&I Club provide something called war risks insurance. This isn't your standard policy. It's a very specialized coverage for all the things regular insurance won't touch with a 10-foot pole. Acts of war, terrorism, you name it. I mean, just stop and think about the value of a single one of these cargo ships. The typical maximum insured value is a whopping $500 million. That's a massive figure, and it reflects the incredible value of the ship and everything packed inside it. But, and this is a huge but, in the exact region where our ship was hit, that limit gets slashed to $300 million. This sublimit, it's not some random number. It is a cold, hard calculation of risk. It's the insurance market shouting from the rooftops. These waters are so dangerous, we will only cover a fraction of what you could lose. So, if the ship was just collateral damage, what was the real target? Well, that leads us right to our next section, where we'll explore the strike's strategic purpose. According to Ukrainian sources, the targets were incredibly strategic. Taganrog isn't just a port, you see. It's a huge logistics hub. It's home to the Beriev Aviation Complex, which is where they upgrade strategic bombers and surveillance aircraft. Oh, and it's also where the Atlant Aero plant builds UAVs. So, you put that all together, and it's clear this wasn't a random attack. It fits right into a much broader strategy, a systematic campaign to weaken Russia's military machine. The ship, with its foreign flag and its international crew, well, it was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, an unintended consequence of a much, much bigger fight. And this is the key takeaway. This one incident in the Sea of Azov, it's really a symptom of a much wider problem affecting the entire shipping industry. The rules of the game are changing, and the waters are getting a whole lot rougher.
I mean, shipping is facing a perfect storm of new risks right now. You've got these incredibly complex sanctions, GPS jamming that can just scramble navigation systems, the rise of so-called shadow fleets. These are unregulated, uninsured ships operating in the dark. And you can add to that a messy regulatory system and the constant growing risk of conflict. It's a dangerous mix.
And none of this is happening in a vacuum. Just look at this timeline. You can see how all these pressures are building on each other. In just the past year or so, we've seen trade tensions flare up between the US and China, multiple rounds of EU sanctions hitting maritime services, and deep uncertainty over global environmental rules. Every single one of these events adds another layer of risk and complexity for the industry.
So when you put all these pieces together, the attack, the risks, the rising tensions, it brings us to a final and frankly unavoidable question about the very future of global trade.
For literally centuries, our entire global economy has been built on one simple foundational idea: freedom of the seas. The assumption that ships can safely move goods from one port to another. The incident at Taganrog is a brutal warning that we can't take that for granted anymore. It's a glimpse of what happens when politics spill over into commerce, which leaves us with the final nagging question: what happens when the sea itself becomes the battleground?